I thank to all audiences for their interest. I thank to ORSAM, Istanbul Policy Center, we say center, yes, IPM or IPC, whatever. And I thank to TOBB University, TOBB Ekonomi and Technical University, that they are providing us this room and all other facilities. I was not really expecting these many students to be attending this conference, but it seems that there is a great interest in the EU project. Everybody knows, and of course you know, that the EU project is a project of modernization. As President Erdogan said that it is the biggest modernization project after the Republican project. Of course, the biggest project, the modernization project, is the Republican project, establishment of the Republic. But this is also a very big modernization project, which we have applied to be the member more than half a century, 51 years ago. Just a few years after establishment of, then it was, whatever was the name, because the name had been changed several times until it became EU. So in 1963 we have applied, 2014, so 51 years ago. 51 years we have been trying to become a full member of EU. Some people are saying that Turkey is not a European. If Turkey was not feeling that Turkey is European, we would not have been insisting these many years to become a full member. We would not have turned our face to Europe for these many years. What happened during 51 years? We were not able to become a full member. Was it due to the behavior of EU only? No. It was sometimes, in some cases, most of the time, because of our behavior. I have to confess that if a country every 10 years would be facing a military coup, nobody would be willing to be the partner. Nobody willing to take them as the member. As you go back to the Turkish history, Turkish Republic history, you say every 10 years there were military. But coming to 1999, Helsinki summit, it was decided that if Turkey meets the Copenhagen criteria, rule of law, human rights, democratization to some certain extent, Turkey will be allowed to start the negotiations. And then Parti came to power, with the majority of people supporting one party government. Immediately, because there was a political stability in the country, so economic stability also came about. And Turkey, of course, I have to thank to opposition also here that start to pass the laws in the parliament with the help of the opposition parties also, because, my dear student colleagues, in Turkey, EU project is a state project. It's a strategic target for us. We have got 4 parties in the parliament. 4 of them are supporting. There are differences in the strength of the support, but 4 of them are supporting the EU project. They are for Turkey to become EU member. We come to 2004-2005, the screening process starts. In 1 year time, we were able to compare our legislation with European legislation, which is called acquis communautaire, and the screening finalized, and 35 chapters have been identified, and we started to negotiate on these chapters. One of the chapters immediately opened and closed, there was no any benchmark. Then we come to 2004. Again, in 2004, there's another event that I have to tell you. You may know, or most of our colleagues may know, but we have to repeat it again. In 2004, for reunification of Cyprus under a one state, a federal state, there was a very extensive negotiations, talks, discussions, meetings under the chairmanship of Mr. Kofi Annan, the General Secretary of the United Nations, and both parties agreed on a plan called Annan. European Union was in support of this plan. This plan was put on referendum in 2004. The expectation was that both communities, Turkish community and Greek community, will support and will vote yes for this plan. And then the Cyprus, the reunified Cyprus, would be joining EU. That was the plan. But what happened? Turkish side voted yes, but the Greek side voted no. But unfortunately, even though Cyprus island, divided island, under the management of the Greek Cyprus, had been accepted as the full member to European Union. Actually, Mr. Swoboda knows very well, according to the main principles of the EU, if a country has got conflict within it, or has got a conflict with the neighbors like Greece and Macedonia, they would never be able to become the member. But when it comes to Cyprus, the smallest Cyprus, European Union, 15 members at that time, they forgot their principles. They gave up their principles. And they accepted Cyprus together with the other 9. You remember 2004, big enlargement of 10. When we asked them, why you did this? They say, well, we are missing. We did mistake, but if we did not accept Cyprus, the Greece was going to veto the other 9. For a veto of a country, can one change the main principles? What I mean here, that the EU, unfortunately, some of the countries, some of the leaders have always had double standard towards Turkey. I am the co-chairman co-president of Parliamentary Committee, Turkey-EU Joint Parliamentary Committee. We meet from time to time, either in Turkey or in Europe, and we discuss all these matters. And we are very frankly putting the case on the table and trying to show them that Turkey is not deserving this behavior of yours. In 2006, the European Council put embargo on 8 chapters out of 30. You remember I said 35 chapters. Then France, for some very funny reason, they put embargo on 5 chapters. When we said ask to France, why do you do this? They said, well, these 5 chapters, if we negotiate, it will drive you to the full membership. We said, weren't you who signed at the Helsinki summit and at the end in 2004-2005 that Turkey will be negotiated with Turkey, the negotiations start with Turkey, and if everything is met, Copenhagen criteria and Maastricht criteria, everything is met, then Turkey will be the full member. You are the one who signed the document. Now you are saying that it's going to drive to the full membership, and you are not allowing, you are blocking the chapters. 2009, Greek Cyprus, they put embargo on some other 6 chapters or whatever, and unfortunately 17 of the chapters are under blockage. For the last 4.5 years, we were only able to open 1 chapter. Thanks to Mr. Holland, the President of France, after Sarkozy, he came to power and he lifted embargo from 1 chapter and that chapter open. And now, even now, most probably another chapter is going to be opened, chapter 17, economic and monetary issue, and that is also under the blockage of France. If France lift embargo, that's going to go. But there are some certain chapters that must be opened as soon as possible. Chapter 23, chapter 24. I don't want to bother you too much with this, but these are about the judiciary. Europe is trying to asking us to extend, to deepen our democracy, to have more new legislations for the freedom and so on and so forth. We say, okay, fair enough, we do it, but how? Let's know. Because the chapter is blocked, let's open the chapter and we do it. They say no. Why? Because Cyprus has put embargo. Who is Cyprus? A small island. What is your population? 500 million. 500 million is captured by a small island. And now they are trying to block everything. Mr. Swoboda just mentioned. Are we to solve Cyprus issue? Yes, we are. Turkish community in Cyprus and Turkey are for the solution. But unfortunately, Greece, Cyprus and the Greece, they are not willing to solve the problem because they don't need to, because they are already EU members. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a new year. 2014 is a new year for EU because in Turkey there is a president who was elected directly by the people, and there is a new government. And we cried that there was an election in European Parliament. There is a new Parliament, and there is a new Commission, and there is a new President of the Council in Europe. So these two new, we believe, we hope, we want that these two new come together and give new momentum to the EU-Turkish relations. Because we need to deepen our democracy. We are actually doing our homework. We are dealing with all the chapters, no matter the chapters are closed or not. Because our aim is to increase the life standards of our citizens. We know that acquis communautaire, whatever legislation has been put together by 28 member states, are good for our citizens. So we are adapting our legislation accordingly. At the end, the chapters are open or not, we don't care. At the end, we become the member or not, we really don't care. We are targeting to, but if at the end we come to the end, everything is okay, all the criteria of European standards have been met, our people, 77 million of our citizens are happy, they are able to live according with their desire, without interfering with some others' freedom, and then we come to the end. Some of the European countries may say no, even Turkish citizens may say no. So not being the full member is not the end of the world. But what is the end of the world if we do not meet the European standards? We want to meet the European standards. That's why we are doing all this. Economically, we are in a very good position. Some people are saying, while we are economically good, why we are still continuing with the negotiations? We are saying this economy is not enough. We need to democratize our country. We need to have a new constitution. We have to increase the living standards of our citizens. Although we, as Turkey, we are now the 6th biggest economy of Europe. We are the customs union member. And we are trade-wise, economically, so integrated with Europe that more than 70% of direct foreign investment in Turkey are by European companies. Around 50% of our exportation is to Europe. So we are very much interested. But there is something lacking. The student of economy and so they are here, something lacking. We have free trade zone agreements with some countries. European Union have a free trade zone agreement with some other countries. If European Union have free trade agreement with a country that Turkey has not yet, then the goods from that country come to Europe, come to Turkey without paying any customs duty. But we cannot send to that country without customs duty. So trade was, we are in loss. That's why these days there is a very big project, very big so-called transatlantic investment and trade partnership between EU and United States, that we as Turkey we want to become a party, or at least have a free trade agreement which covers all everything with the United States. So this is also very important. But of course, being together with Europe is something that gives strength to Turkey and to Europe also. We say that all Europe, European Union, if you want to become a global player, you have to take Turkey as we are. Because through Turkey, you can reach to neighboring markets. Through Turkey, you can secure your energy. You can have enough energy resources for your security supply of energy, as Turkey being in between the rich energy resources and European consuming countries. The location of Turkey is so that without Turkey, European countries' energy security cannot be achieved. Otherwise, they have to be dependent on Russia, and as you know, the only one problem in Ukraine, now there is a problem with the energy supply to Europe because of Russia-Ukraine conflict. Turkey is a balance in the region. We want Europe to be with Turkey to bring democracy to the regional countries. We want Turkey together with Europe to overcome the problems of the region. Iraq, Syria, more than 1.6 million refugees are in Turkey. $4.5 billion has already been spent. How much it had come, you know, from Europe? Only 45 million. 4.5 billion, 45 million. Peanuts. When it comes to saying, they shout, they raise their voice, they say Kobani is and that. Before Kobani there were killings. 400,000 Syrians have been killed. I'm a Kurdish member of parliament. But 400,000 people have been killed. Among them there are Arabs, Kurds, from different religions and so on. Turkmen, 400,000. 6 million had left their homes. Yes, Kobani, our heart is with Kobani. But before Kobani also the Kurds came to Turkey. Nobody raised their voices. Yazidis came from Iraq. Nobody raised their voices. When it comes to Kobani, I don't know what happened. All the work they have sent and they raised their voices saying that why Turkey is not doing anything. Turkey is doing everything. Turkey has accepted 200,000 Kobanis into Turkey for a few days now. No civilians have left in Kobani. And now there is a corridor, Peshmergas, and free Syrian army also is going. And we have asked, the people coming from Kobani, 200,000, at least for 30, 40,000 of them are the young people who can carry the gun. We say that, why don't you go back? Leave your elders, leave your children, leave your ladies in Turkey and go back to fight. Nobody went back. But when it comes to the propaganda, they do everything. 6 and 7 October, Turkey did not, I mean, southeast Turkey did not deserve 40 people to be killed, that many damages. State schools, hospitals, and private properties, houses, shops, and so on. When we look at Europe, look at the European side. Islam doesn't say that why, who is doing this violence? Who is doing the terrorism in Turkey? Why 40 people have been killed? There is no question. That's why we want Europe to be fair and frank. We are so, because we determine. The president, when he took the place at the parliament, when he delivered his speech, he very clearly underlined that Turkey, the EU is a strategic target for project for Turkey. In the new government's program, again it's mentioned that Turkey is going to continue all the negotiation or whatever is necessary with European Union. I think I should stop here or what? Because that okay, let me wrap up because really we are full of double standardization. We are fed up with double standardization because when we started the negotiation in 2005-2006, more than 75% of Turkish citizens were in favor of EU project. Even in my provinces, in my region, in Southeast Turkey, more than 80%. But nowadays, it is well below 50%. Why? Because of, as I said, double standard. Visa was mentioned by Mr. Swoboda. There is no any candidate country whom there is a visa restriction. Even the third countries have got free visa regime with the European Union. But when it comes to Turkey, it's not allowed. Turkish goods can freely move around in Europe, but those people who are producing those goods, they cannot follow up their goods. They cannot go and talk to their customers, their clients. They cannot go and attend the fairs, the exhibitions. Why? Because there is a visa restriction. But thanks to European Union in 2013, December 16, two agreements had been at the same time organized. Agreed on. One was visa dialogue, visa-free dialogue to be started, and the other one was readmission agreement. We passed the readmission agreement even in the parliament, has come into power 1st of October, and the first report came out for visa dialogue, which really mentioned in a very positive, has been designed in a positive manner, because we are going to the outcome to let the Turkish citizen to freely move to go to Europe. That's what we are keen on. And if in 3.5 years' time a free visa regime will not be there, then of course we shall be cancelling the readmission agreement. Now, I think, stop here, but the European Union project is really a civilization project, is a modernization project, is a project of humanity, is a project of democracy, and whoever become the member, they get the taste of better democracy and get more freedom, rule of law, whatever you think as a high standard is there in the European acquis communautaire. That's why we have got a special ministry, European newly published a new strategy, Turkey's new European Union strategy. And very small. It's like the constitution for our Turkey Euro nation. And just very shortly for this has been based on three pillars. The first one is the political reform process, what we have done, what we should do, the socio-economic transformation to, do you know that within 12 years time, quite a good number of Turkish citizens has moved to the higher class. So this is what socio-economic transformation is achieving. And we have got a communication strategy. Communication strategy is very important because we know we have to understand what EU and what EU citizens are, and the EU and EU citizens should understand what Turks and what Turkish citizens and what Turkey is. That if we do understand, if we do know each other, if we really know each other, the life is going to be much easier than now. Thank you very much for your patience.
I also would like to thank these two dynamic, energetic speeches. I hope they will be serving the purpose of re-energizing the EU relationship. Now I would like to open the event for question and answer session. Let's start to collect a couple of questions. Where's the mic? So let's start from the very back. Very over there.
Thank you. My name is Larry White. I'm an international lawyer and teacher at TOBB Ekonomi. My question is mainly for Mr. Swoboda. Thank you very much for your remarks. I very much remember the events of 2004, where essentially a reasonable description of the events is that the Greek Cypriot community was rewarded for their obstinacy in the Annan plan. And I understand the politics, to some extent, of where Greece and Cyprus had some weapons that they could use with regards to the process in the EU. However, with regards to the recent events, economic troubles in both Greece and Cyprus, it would seem to me that you had an opportunity to create a situation whereby Greece would be encouraged to not no longer impede this process, because as you stated, Turkish membership in the EU would be good for both Turkey and the EU. So my question is how are we going to pressure the Greek side as much as the Turkish side is pressured with regards to the Cyprus issue? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Werner Gruber from Austria, working since 9 years at TÜRKİYE in research economy on project management. I'm a professor for project management since 20 years, and I would like to question and support your idea of having a project. But I think we have to critically ask from the Turkish and from the European side, what is the project? And there's 4 characteristics. What is the time? A real project must have a beginning and an end. A real project must have the right human resources who are dedicated. A real project must have money enough to do it, and it must have quality. Are we having that kind of project between EU and Turkey? I like what I said as a marriage. I'm married to a Turkish lady. It's not a project, it's a real thing, it's a lifetime commitment. She's actually an admission here at TOBB University, it's like a family package. But I'm questioning seriously, how much is Turkey and Europe putting into the project if it's a real project? How much time can we give it until we reach the final impact? And when do we reach sustainability? Sürdürülebilirlik. The most difficult Turkish word I'm trying to learn. Will we have sustainability once the project is finished? Thank you.
Department of Political Science here at TOBB University. I'd like to ask about the changes in the parliament since the last election and the rise of, what's going to happen to the rise of extreme right parties in the parliament. And how do you think this will affect decisions regarding Turkish-EU relations, but also in general, they're known to have an anti-immigrant agenda, party program. How do you think this will affect EU's policies towards its own immigrants? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Ali. I'm a graduate of Masters in Science, Technology, and Policy Studies in Teknoloji Üniversitesi. My question is, Mr. Swoboda, thank you for taking part in such a good project in Turkey. As you know, decisions about accession negotiations are given by European politicians. But the preparations are made by technical people, bureaucrats. However, bureaucrats, I think, cannot credibly commit on political issues. So I wonder, taking this point into consideration, I wonder whether there are any tool or facility to bring politicians during negotiation process to enable them speak much of, not leaving important issues to the technical people, but themselves taking issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, good afternoon. Andrea Sant'Agostino, I'm Italian, and I'm Giamone Professor at Israeli Basic University here in Ankara. My question is for both Mr. Swoboda and Mr. Demirkıran. Several chapters have been mentioned in your speech, complaining the fact that there have been open blockage. But what I consider, and I think should be that the most important one, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, concerning the free circulation, cannot be mentioned. These chapters are closed and they have been opened for political blockage, but in this case, it's not one country. In this case, 2 times, 2006 and the last year, the Council voted at unanimity the blockage of chapters 1, 2, 3, 4. We all know why that is the situation. You know very well. So my question is, why Turkey is not doing that small step which is necessary to unblock chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, which are the core of the European Union, because without single market, without free circulation of service, capital and so on, the European Union would collapse, so that is the main asset. Opening these chapters would enhance the accession process, because they are relatively easy to negotiate, considering the situation of custom union. The space to create benefit would be a limited cost on Turkish side to open its ports and to the goods services from Cyprus according to the commitment in the custom union treaty. Thank you.
Let's answer these questions.
Thank you very much for this very good question. It was always easy to answer, but let me answer the first question. It's also together with the last question. Now, I must openly say that we in the European Parliament, for example, more or less the whole Europe supported the annual plan, and I asked the Greek Cypriot to support it. Unfortunately, they didn't. It's true that nevertheless Cyprus was taken. Was it right or wrong, I don't know, but at least what we should have done, and I was fighting for, but that was not successful, that all the promises given, direct aid and trade, should have been implemented. Now, you're right, also Turkey could have done, according to the Ankara agreement, and could have done the job inside the opening of the ports at the airport. Everybody has some arguments on their side. What I really deplore that both sides did not come together and say, let's have a package. Do the Ankara agreement, we open, but at the same time we have direct aid and direct trade, because that was promised also by the European Commission, but again it was blocked. I must say, one of the problems why I am criticizing Turkey, because I was so nice to Turkey, so I have to say it's one point of criticism, is in connection with Cyprus, that of course many people in Cyprus live today on the Turkish side who have nothing to do with Cyprus, because we were brought from Anatolia and from Turkey to there, and therefore the eagerness of finding a solution on the Turkish Cypriot side, on the broader population, is not really existing. And if you speak with Turkish Cypriots, they are not very happy about this proceedings. But again, I mean, I think that the Greek Cypriot side is, and I always say that what you do as a policy means permanent separation. Don't come to me or to anybody else that we want unification if you block it again and again by some obstinate policies. I criticize, as I said, the migration from Turkey to Cyprus and the changing of the balance, but we could already have it. And I tell them again, yes, you criticize migration to Cyprus, which is no longer, as far as I know, as strong as it was in the past. But if you wait another 5 or 10 years, things will get not better for you. So also from this interest, it would be much better if Cyprus would give itself a push. And I'm very, very, very sad that Anastasiades is the new president, because of lack of allies, maybe, but didn't have the courage to say to the citizens, either we go now for a solution, or let's forget the solution. And we have 2 separate states, which would be not good for either of them, because then the Turkish side would be, at least as long as there's no agreement with Turkey, would be out of the EU. And it's not good for the Greek Cypriot side, because they have only part of the solution. Because the energy issue would be the best way to deal with this issue. So let's come together, Turkey, Cypriot, both sides of Cyprus, Israel and other countries, and let's talk about a common energy policy, a common, let's say, benefit from the resources. The European Union, especially the European Parliament, was fighting when there was a fisheries agreement with, it's not the same, but a fisheries agreement with Morocco, to say you have the benefits of a fishing agreement must also come to the Sahrawi people in the south of Morocco, which we don't recognize, or we still say it's an occupied area. Why don't we say also here, the benefits of the energy must come not only to the Greek Cypriot side, but also to the Turkish Cypriot side. Secondly, very good question on the project, yes. Maybe the expression project is wrong, because we never had a real beginning, because what was the beginning? Was it the customs union? Was it a decision in Helsinki? And we don't see, at least not the end. Maybe it's a project sui generis, where we have, but what I think what is important, and maybe some, some marriages come quite late. I have my, I knew my wife 23 years before we married, because my daughter from first marriage married, and then we said, why shouldn't we marry? But we had many steps of confidence building in between. And therefore I come back to the trade issue, or customs union issue, or come back to the issue of the visa liberalization. We need these steps of confidence, because otherwise we lose trust. And I think that would be very important, at least to have that project sui generis be implemented and strengthened. Changing the European Parliament, yes, you are right, it will have a negative effect not only on Turkey, on all the enlargement process, but the is also the chance to argue why enlargement is necessary. I was rapporteur for Croatia from the beginning to the end of negotiations. And I know how this difficult the process is. I know also that, as my colleague said, it is important to have maybe some pressure or some influence from the European side to push some reform through. Of course, the reforms are not done for us, it's done for the country. But sometimes you need an outside pusher. But you need to continue the enlargement process with all, many citizens tell me the disadvantage. When they ask them, what is the disadvantage of the enlargement? Nothing comes. Because the rejection of the constitution were not in the new member countries, it was in France and in the Netherlands, all member countries. So I think one should be very clear, this division, the new and the old and the candidate, it's often very unfair, but I'm absolutely sure that on migration it has a negative effect. Until now I don't see a real negative effect, for example, on the Turkish citizens of Turkish origin in Germany or in Austria, but the language, for example. We need much more Turkish language learned by young people of Turkish origin in our own countries. Because the argument that they don't know any language is wrong. Because very often, because some of the youngsters don't speak well Turkish, prevents them to speak well German or whatever other language. So I think these kind of ideological obstacles are very bad. So again, I don't see the alternative. I see that we should go both ways. We should enhance also the Turkish origin, the Turkish language, and at the same time, of course, what we also did not do, the German language, my Austrian language, as you would call it. Because to tell you honestly, if I go in my district where I was a party chief to the mosque or to the praying room and I speak with people who have been for 30 years in Austria, workers of Turkish origin, and I still need an interpreter, something is wrong. Something is wrong on our side that we did not promote the language, something is wrong on their side that they didn't learn the language. Because if I stay in a country for 30 years and I still know the language very hardly, then very often, of course, their position is misused. If you go at a job or if you're in your house, then you will be not treated equally if you don't know the language. And the last point was on the politicians. I think, what was that question? Yes, sorry. You're absolutely right. Sometimes politicians lean back because they don't want to engage themselves enough, because they don't know if it will be successful, a project or non-project, it will be successful. And don't have the courage enough. That goes back also to your question about these right-wing parties. These parties gain influence because politicians of the centers are not courageous enough to tell also the citizens, case of enlargement or other issues, what is necessary, what has to be done. If you leave the field to extremists, they will take it. And that was taken, and that's also true for your question, in the field for bureaucrats, and they will take it. And they will make more difficulties than probably politicians could if they would have the courage to promote, for example, also the Turkish enlargement case.
Okay. The project. It is a project. And there are resources for it also. And there is willingness also. But from somewhere, there is interference into it. That's why the project doesn't go through. The chapter, the negotiation stage, era, should be a technical. It really should be a technical. Although we don't agree with some of our European colleagues, they say, well, everything is political. But if we want a country to fulfill whatever is necessary to be done, we have to leave them free, technically, to continue to do it. And then at the end, the politics will become. Of course, the politicians, I wouldn't agree fully with Swoboda that yes, the politicians could be, where is that colleague that asked about the politics intervention here? Yeah, the politicians should be there whenever is necessary to give the decision, to make the decision. But of course, if the issue is a pure technical one, the technician will be dealing but in the European Parliament latest elections, Frances left actually, she is not there anymore, but anyhow, we all really worried about it. Is it the hard has already been, is the hard has started or not? I don't. But we have to be careful. Not all the European Parliament, all the European countries need to be careful because really we have to have major parties to be empowering the countries for the future of their citizens. Cyprus issue and the chapters, the blockage of the council, of course, everybody who will deal with this project, they know why it is that. Because of the non-implementation of Ankara Addition Protocol to Ankara Protocol by Turkey, not opening harbors and airport to the Greek vessels, Greek Cyprus vessels and airports. They were open in the past. They are now closed. But you see, when we put something, when we ask for something, we have to really try to balance the situation, the problem, the issue. When after Cyprus became full member in 2004, the European Council enacted two regulations. One was trade regulation, the other one was financial regulation. There was a green line regulation also in Turkey, but these two are important. The financial regulation, to some extent, has been implemented. But coming to trade regulation, which means that removing isolation from the northern part of Cyprus, never been in place. We always have said, the president of that time, president, government, ourselves, we always said that let one single aeroplane land to Ercan Airport, then all our harbors and airports. And even these was accepted. When the European Parliament report was given, so many friends of us, friends of Turkey, or people who really have free mind in the European Parliament, they put amendments into, they try to put amendment into the report, saying that let's have this council decision, both council decision to be implemented. At least put an article into the report. 2004 council decision to remove isolation, 2006 council decision to ask Turkey to implement the Ankara Protocol. Putting this in a phrase, in a paragraph, as they want to put in the report, European Parliament progress, Turkey progress report, even these was not accepted. So the matter is not really having some personnel move into Cyprus only. Cyprus, the Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots are there, were there for centuries and centuries throughout the history. In 1960 there was a republic that had been formed, as everybody knows. In 1963, Greek Cyprus they demolished. When we come to 1974, before Turkey had to send the army into Cyprus, Greece was going to invade, to have coup d'etat in Cyprus. Everybody knows all the issues. We don't look at the history of Cyprus, then we, of course, we say, well, why these people are not agreeing and so on. We are for, when I say we are talking about the Turkish community in Cyprus, they are for the comprehensive solution. Put everything on the table, like other plans that the United Nations is doing. Why Anastasia left the table? Anastasia was the one who voted yes for America in 2001. When he came to power, everybody was very much happy that there may be a solution to be reached. And they have agreed on the main principle. They were about to have final negotiation for win stage for the negotiation, and suddenly the digging of the hydrocarbon in the south has started, and of course the Turkish communities have asked Turkish petrol company to send vessel or seismic research to be sent there. But in the past there were vessels, seismic vessels went to Cyprus. Nothing had happened. But this time, to me, if that conflict was not there, still Anastasia and Anastasia would have tried to find some other way to go away from the table. What the Turkish subjects are saying, they are saying that this resource, since we are going to be a unified state, the resources around the island are for everybody. Let's do it together. The Greek side are saying yes, well, if someday there will be unity, then of course we shall share. Otherwise we shall do it and we shall have it on our own. Which European Union and everybody also, the United Nations, is saying that all the resources are belong to everybody. It's not only for the government. Just to give you one example. There are six members of the parliament from the Cyprus. 4 should be for the Greeks and 2 should be for the Turks. All 6 seats are being engaged by the Greek side. When you look at the European Council, there are 2 seats for the Turks, Turkish Cyprus, and at least for as an observer. Even these have been asked in the parliament. Mr. Swoboda knows this very well, and if I'm not mistaken, he was in favor also that it had not been accepted that these 2 seats should be given to the Turks, the Cyprus, if not full member, but at least an observer. So that's why Turks are saying that we shall be having a comprehensive solution. We are ready to sit on the table. You should push both sides. Should encourage both sides. Should incentivize both sides to reach an agreement on the main principles that in January, February, both leaders had agreed and signed. This,
very quick last round. Kıvanç olursa.
Yani zaman var, sadece if there is time.
Very good.
Yes, just a short question. My name is Kıvanç from Istanbul University. Question to Mr. Demirkıran. We have been experiencing terrible mining crisis over the past few months, and I understand that the rule of law and the Cyprus cases, terribly sensitive cases, and I don't expect further progress in those matters in regards to democracy and also in regards to the Cyprus. But I expect some progress in regards to some more technical issues, like the social security and employment chapter of the EU negotiations. With regards to particularly occupational safety and occupational accidents, will you expect any progress in your negotiations in this respect?
Hello, Harun Öztürkler from Demirkıran University, Professor of Econometrics and Listening Advisor to ORSAM. I published a book on the effects of the custom union on the Turkish economy in 2008, which we could not find empirically any negative effects of the custom union on the Turkish economy. There were some seemingly negative effects, but we concluded that they were due to privileges that have been provided to Turkey beforehand, so that was the reason. So custom union empirically we know that does not negatively affect Turkish economy. I have two quick questions to Mr. Demirkıran and to Mr. Swoboda. In this respect, related to the custom union, Mr. Demirkıran said that there could be some negative effects of the European Union's partnership with the USA in the Turkish economy. As far as I remember, the last negotiations failed, so he sees any positive progress in the near future in this respect. And to Mr. Demirkıran, we have again empirically studied whether there has been a policy, international economic policy shift governments a shift from European Union towards Middle East specifically, because numbers show us that trade volume, the share of the European Union in Turkish trade volume declined from about 50% to around 35%. The Eastern share has been increased significantly to about 1/3. I do appreciate. Thank you.
So last question over there at the back.
Yes, my name is Klaus Jürgens. I work as a journalist in Turkey. I remember the time I was courting my wife. And if I were to have waited for too long in London, she probably would have said no to my marriage proposal. Now, after 10 years in Turkey, I have a question to both the gentlemen signed Demirkıran and Swoboda. Would it not make sense to finally give a tentative date to the Republic of Turkey? Turkey, if you do all your technical acquis readiness in the next 5 years, if not faster, 2019 is the date for EU accession, or 2020. Would it not make sense to give a date that everyone knows we have to comply at a certain time, and the EU knows we have to make a commitment. If not one day, perhaps the Republic of Turkey may say, we are good, we are very good, but why should we wait another 50 years? Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, let me start then. Okay, the first question about chapter 19, social security and employment. You asked the question? You asked the question, yeah. As you may know, there are some open benchmark which we are trying to comply with. The legislation to comply with is ready actually. And we want to make our European colleagues to digest, to be ready for the opening of that, because there is no embargo. There is no embargo on Chapter 19, there is no embargo on the public procurement, there is no embargo on competition. But competition and public procurement, these two chapters usually are open at the end, because there is a quite big burden on the country, so that at the end of the negotiation. But 19 really could be open, and the state, the parties, partners to like employees, employment, and the union, trade union, and the government institution, like TOBB and TÜRKİYE, everybody, they were together in Brussels 2 years ago. They signed a declaration that the chapter is going to should go on. And a few months ago, they had another meeting in Turkey under the chairmanship of the minister in charge of employment, Çelik. And we hope and believe that Chapter 19, as soon as the benchmarks are met, is going to go. We are ready to also. For the custom union, who was the president? Yes, who asked the question. You see, custom union, when we had the custom union agreement in 1996, actually there was a hope, expectation that within 10 years time at the maximum, we are going to be the full members. And I also agree with you, I believe that because of the custom union, our industry has benefited. Some people are saying otherwise, but I want to believe that custom union did a lot to our industry, to increase our quality and so on. And I believe that it's due to this that half of our exportation was to Europe before the global crisis. Now it's 41–42%. So still, there is a good, and it's increasing, because during the crisis, the purchasing ability of part of the European citizens went down. That's why our exportation went a little bit down, and now it's increasing again. But of course, we have to diversify our trade and exportation, especially to different markets also. If there is any crisis in one region of the world, then we will be able to have our exportation. As you see, our exportation level has not gone down during all these global crises. And the EU, European Union, asked the World Bank to check the custom union from both angles. And there is a report, you may know about the report. The report came out that to include some other good like fishery, like agriculture services into it. And of course, from the Turkish perspective also, there are some lackings that we are always asking for the decision-making mechanism, and so we are not part of it. So most probably, and the negotiations with the Ministry of Turkey and EU has started to renew to review the custom union. And of course, for the TTIP, so-called Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, as I said while doing my speech, we have to be the party, because otherwise really we are going to be a very great loss. Our exportation to the United States will be coming to none. And so we are saying, and I think both parties are somehow willing to accommodate Turkey into it, but how? Whether be the party or be having a free trade agreement with the United States, but we are trying hard to be at least somewhere in the agreement, not to be negatively affected. And the last one was the date. Oh, the date. When Mr. Swoboda, when it was said that he was a member. He was not only a member. He was the president of Socialist Group, Socialist and Democrat Group in the European Parliament, and he was a very strong person in there. And I believe he was supportive of Turkey also. Sometimes, of course, because of misunderstanding, misinformation, but in general, he was supportive of Turkey. Giving the date or not wouldn't help unless the Cyprus issue is solved. If the European Council be able to convince Cyprus herself and France to remove the blockage, then we are ready really we are very short period of time we are able to open out of these 17 chapters, at least 10 chapters, 12 chapters, we are ready to open it. Or we shall be able to open it in 6 months time or 1 year's time. Because everything is smoothly improving. In the past, when there was a stagnation of 3 years, there was no chapter open, Mr. Fuller, Commissioner Stefan Fuller, together with Turkish government, they have established a positive agenda, that some certain committees have been established to deal with different chapters, different issues, different sectors, and the opening benchmark of some of the chapters have been provided unofficially to Turkish government. Still, we are trying to get it unofficially, but of course, officially, even some of the benchmark, the screening report, which needs to be approved by the council, that the benchmarks will be known by the commission, still has not been approved by the council. So we are in this very complex situation, but as I said, no matter what happens, we are continuing with our homework.
Very briefly, 2 questions on TTIP. Well, the effects of customer, you have the expert on sitting on the other side. I think it is true we have to be very careful, not only for Turkey, some other countries as well. I visited Mexico, they also have some concern, but I think that Turkey is bigger. Because it would be wrong to have an agreement with the US on the detriment of other countries' situation, including some of the very big countries. We come to an agreement, I don't know, I think one starting with that condition about lack of transparency, trying to rush it through. It is a very delicate agreement with all these aspects for the citizens of Europe, and also for citizens in Turkey. I hope we come to an agreement. The European Parliament, until now, every agreement since this Parliament, since the right to reject agreement, rejected every agreement which was negotiated with the US in the first round, but after renegotiations accepted it. Maybe something happens now again. If, for example, it would include an investment agreement and that would be rejected, that second round. You know that the US also did not get the fast track, because it can't be that we, European Parliament or Europe, cannot change the agreement, but the US could change it. So it's still many institutional issues to be cleared. I am still a pragmatic supporter of TTIP, but we'll see. On the date, well, on the date, you are right, sometimes it could be good. And when I was in Istanbul some years ago, they said, let's have 2023, when Atatürk founded the Republic. Maybe not everybody in that party would like that kind of date, I don't know. But you are right, a date is theoretically would be good. If you have big blocks to prevent it, like the Cyprus issue, it doesn't really help. What would help, if one say that colleague Knaus from the European Stability Initiative has some proposals, you would just have a catalogue of all the so-called chapters. And you don't say about opening and closing, no, everything is open. And the country is judged every year how much they have done on the different chapters. On employment issues or on judicial issues or whatever issues. And then the country and all the member countries of the European Union see the progress, yes or no. Because this kind of politics with opening chapters or non-closing chapters is very bad. Because it gives always the feeling, even in cases where it is not the case, of double standards. Because the Commission quite often says, well, we don't open this, even if it would be not blocked, we cannot open the chapters because Turkey didn't do their job. But nobody can see, is the Commission right or maybe Turkey right? If you have a clear catalogue, you have all the chapters and you have a list, and then you have an objective, let's say, list of fulfillment, partly, yes, and what is still open, everybody could see, and then they have a dispute of some details, but not on the process. So I think much better than to have a date would be an objective list for all the areas which are under the negotiations. Negotiations is a wrong expression because it's not so much about negotiation. You negotiate perhaps about the delays you have, but you don't negotiate about the subject because that is the acquis communautaire. That would be much better and would be open, and then all these argument and counter-argument, no, it's your mistake, no, it's your mistake, and you didn't do that, would disappear. And that would be true, of course, for the negotiation of Turkey, but for all the other countries. So let's hope that at least the Commission will take a new initiative. Finally, of course, it's up to the Member States. But again, with all respect I have for some concerns of the Greek Cypriot, I think one of the biggest and most important job for all the other countries in the European Union would say to Cyprus, stop that kind of obstacles. But I have in my mind the illusion or the idea that some member countries are quite happy about Cyprus because they don't have to say no or yes. And that's an easy way to say, look, it's Cyprus, sorry, but we should get rid of that kind of policies anyway. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I thank you because you see, you give me opportunity to put a target in front of our four colleagues. Although the language was looks like our Democracy Party's language, but anyhow, we have actually 2023 is the 100th anniversary year of the Republic, for establishment of the Republic, and we have already did our calculations and we have put the targets in front of us. In 2023, we shall be within the 10th biggest economy. In 2023, we shall increase per capita income to $25,000. In 2023, we shall increase our exportation to $500 billion. In 2023, we shall our gross capital gross GDP, gross domestic product GDP will be increased to $2 billion. These are what we are there. And we have very big projects, especially in Istanbul, to be finished by 2023. So 2023 is a good day for us, and we thank to the founder of the Republic that lets us that we could express ourselves to him.
So you hope that in 2023 European Union will join for Turkey?
That is a possibility. Why not? Why not? Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to answer.
You need to run by because you need to work for 2023.
Yeah, because in the past also we were together. During the European Ottomans, they were together. So now, why not?
Why not? Okay. With that optimistic note,
Realistic note. Okay. Realistic.
optimistic note, let's conclude. I would like to thank again everyone, organizers, also the staff involved in this organization. Hope to see you at another event.